This committee relies partly, not wholly, on the Auditor General for the Federation's annual report to discharge its responsibilities. But beyond that, the committee as well goes on status inquiry, where it writes ministries, departments, and agencies to want to know the status in respect of the constitutional responsibilities or otherwise of such, of either the ministry, department, or agency in question. And the committee, based on its commitment to the growth and development of Nigeria, is not out to witch hunt anybody or want to take anybody to the cleaners. And the committee, under my stewardship, with the support of my distinguished colleagues, have had cause to say this not once, not twice, that we should understand that audited report or Auditor General's of the Federation's report is not an indictment on any ministry, department, or agency, but it is rather a wake-up call for us to know that A, B, C, D were wrong, committedly wrong yesterday, or wrongly committed yesterday. Today, going forward, we shall find ways to correct the wrongs, and then to make the system better, and we move on for a better and greater Nigeria. At this point, the committee is today compelled to say what I am going to say on Nigerian Ports Authority. Nigerian Ports Authority is found wanting on both ends, and one on the Auditor General for the Federation's annual report, and also on the end of status inquiry. There are issues around Lagos channel management, Boni channel management, and of course Calabar channel management. And on these issues, the committee had respectfully written the Nigerian Ports Authority management. Some of the communications were responded to, and some are still yet to be responded to. Today, the Nigerian Ports Authority is supposed to have appeared before this committee so that we look at the queries raised by the Office of the Auditor General of for the Federation. Nigerian Ports Authority is not here. The the management officers from the MD to the EDs, none is here. Some of these queries have got to do with the indebtedness of the terminal operators, which is almost $1 billion, $852 million, 93,730 cents, 77 cents. There is also the issue of outstanding estate rent, shipping due, service boards, and what have you, over almost $68 million. The status of long outstanding debtors or debts are all part of the issues to be answered by Nigerian Ports Authority. But at this point, for and on behalf of the committee, what I have to say on Nigerian Ports Authority is that we will communicate finally to the Nigerian Post Management of Nigerian Post Authority within the next 48 hours to either appear before this committee for Nigerians to know what they have in stock as regards to these queries and issues that we have, gathered within the period as a result of status inquiry. Otherwise, we will use all the necessary instruments available to us by law to bring the management of Nigerian Post Authority to order, because nobody is above the law and nobody will be allowed to disrespect and take the institution of the National Assembly for granted, because we are the people's parliament. We are here on the mandate of the people. We will not take disrespect by anybody. With this, gentlemen of the press, my distinguished colleagues and gentlemen of the press, we thank you for your understanding. And this is not to say our doors will not be opened to whoever has what to say, what to do that will make it a better period for us to discharge our responsibilities. Thank you very much. You have listened to that query. Unfortunately, there is no response from your management. So by extension, no response from you, based on the literature before us. But you are physically seated before us now. What have you got to say?
That report being read, even though this governance is a continuum, but at times we may have disjoints for one reason or the other. When we assumed office during this the present administration, I think these were pending cases which the Controller General of Customs said should be quickly attended to. And that is why in the documents we have before us, which copies have been made available to the honorable distinguished members, we have responses in the documents we have before us, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay, no problem. So read the response to the first query.
You'll be able to do justice to the job at hand. But being a deputy controller means you are the second person in order of authority, which is actually good enough for this committee to listen to. But you have not in any way attempted to answer the query raised and comment. You have not in any way attempt to answer the questions raised. What do I mean by that? In your reply, sir, look at the query as canvassed and look at the replies as delivered. And part of the reply, which I will quote you, that the Federation account levies include CTC and thereabout and thereabout and thereabout. And on your second page, you see reading for the differences as a result of system glitches, as multiple transactions have been carried out daily, cut-off time for various banks, etc., which have been transferred to the next accounting month or year, as the case may be. If it is an accounting procedure, there should not be glitches. There should be a very transparent demarcation as to this 62.2 billion. We should have seen clearly how they were transferred in. This is your line of defense. But to subsume everything on glitches, and then you haven't also make any attempt to say cut-off time for various banks. Which banks? What are the cut-off? How many of them? What amount for each bank? These are things that are specific in nature, that if you add them up, we must make sure that it resembles, or it is like 62.2 billion. That will give the Auditor General and the committee a substantial satisfaction that this particular query is answered. Secondly, and very importantly, this happened almost 7 years ago. But because government is a continuum, you probably was not there. No, probably you are not there because I know the custom provision. But custom, you are not there, but that does not mean you are not answerable to what happened because you hate the organization. So when you raise some of this, the answer is very clear. But the query, the reply, is diluted. In my opinion, you have not answered this particular query.
First, I would like to align myself with my colleague who just spoke concerning whether you have answered this question posed before you. But I want to come from a different dimension. In the Auditor General's report, you had two documents you presented to them. One was the monthly summary of revenue collection. That is your document. Another one is the monthly collection. That is where the difference is arising from. The difference of 62 billion is arising from. This is 7 years, 8 years or so after this 2017. This happened in 2017. The first question I want to ask is that, have you been able to do a reconciliation of this difference? Because this response you have given now does not in any way solve the difference.
He mentioned reconciliation, and in the explanation given to us today, we were told that the difference occurs because of timing differences. That is, receipts being recorded in one period instead of the next, or the next period instead of the current period. But that should also mean that for you to identify the cause, you've identified the items. And since it is a timing difference, the payments should have been remitted within 1 or 2 months thereafter. And all these accounts should in fact be accounts that are subject to monthly reconciliation so that the differences are being tracked on a regular basis. So for us to see an outstanding difference of 62 billion that has not been tracked is of great concern. What it tells me is that the system of regular reconciliations is not being followed, and that could mean that there are more significant amounts that are not being tracked that are going astray.
On this issue of non-reconciliation, what our people have done is to speak squarely to the document of 2017. But I can say, by the time we present subsequent reports or probably audit reports on subsequent years, it will be obvious that this issue of 65 billion or whatever, 62 billion, must have been adequately taken care of. And just like I mentioned, on this issue of, we are here, we've taken hold. The issue of under-remittance and non-remittance was an issue. There were issues that came up. They were discovered and they were tackled. And like I said earlier, as at last week, Friday or Thursday, a team has been assigned to go for the third quarter reconciliation, during which all banks are invited. And this has been going on for almost 2 years now. And this was triggered by this observation. But what we have done is to speak squarely to this document. But by the time we bring our subsequent reports, probably 2021, 2022, it will be seen. And banks are being suspended. There are times newspapers will carry it that so-so bank has been suspended from collecting custom duty, and it's a result of either this non-remittance, under-remittance, or late remittance.
By distinguished members of this committee, in my position as the chairman, based on the support I have of my colleagues, I would like to say that the Customs Service handled this issue with levity. For it to linger for 7 years, and you were not able to reconcile between the commercial banks, that is your collecting banks, and then Central Bank of Nigeria, for you to sit before us here today and say what you have said, we have listened to, but it is not accepted. Going forward, I will not want to quickly submit or accept the decision of the Office of the Auditor General until this is done. And what is to be done is this. You should submit to us your collecting banks. We will call, as suggested by our distinguished colleague here, at that period of time. You know, because for this, I don't know if I will be right to use the word shenanigan, for this to be put to a stop, then the banks must appear here. We listen to them, then we see the discrepancies and see where they all emanated from. Of course, for the customs, yes, you collect revenues. That's what our distinguished colleague, and then, of course, my senior colleague. No, I am the chair.
I want to amend
You want to amend?
my motion.
Did you? Okay. Okay.
I did remember that I was the one who said the collecting banks should be invited for questioning. But while you were speaking and while other people were speaking, and after his response, I want to amend it. I want to amend it. And my amendment is this. On this subject matter, we have no business with the bank. On this subject matter, we have no business with the bank. Absolutely. Because at the end of the day, when they come, what questions are we going to ask them? We are going to be doing the work that the Nigerian custom should have done. So I want to align myself fully with the submission of the Auditor General's report. Let them go and find a way to battle it out. I want to align myself that for 7 years, if they have not been able to make any reconciliation, and this report was signed, Mr. Chairman, this report was signed on the 29th of November. That is 7 years after they've not been able to reconcile this figure. Please, there's no need to delay the outcome of the report. If they come back to us after we have taken, they made a refund or whatever it is, we can do that reconciliation in the future. That's what I want to amend. I so submit, Mr. Chairman.
Customs Service, I am the chair. The authority here ends with me, but with their support. The gavel is before only one person here, and it's me. So, yes, and so I was on the floor going somewhere, but our distinguished colleague respectfully interjected, and what he submitted is the position of the committee. The Customs Service should find a way to refund 62.2 billion to the Federation account.
There was no footnote nor additional information attached to the two reports showing reason for the discrepancy. Neither was there any form of communication or management intention for future reconciliation or remittance. The above anomalies could be attributed to weaknesses in the internal control system at the Nigerian Customs Service Headquarters, Abuja. Risk, loss of government revenue. 2, increase in government borrowing to finance its budget. 3, diversion of public funds. Management response, no response from management. Recommendation. The Controller General, Nigerian Customs Service, is requested to 1. Account for the unremitted sum of 63,601,805,270 naira 67 kobo. 2. Remit the sum of 63,601,805,270 naira 67 kobo to the Federation account. 3. Forward evidence of remittance to the Public Accounts Committees of the National Assembly. And 4. Otherwise, apply sanctions relating to failure to collect and account for government revenue stated in paragraph 3112 of the Financial Regulation. That is the second issue, sir.
I might want to seek the indulgence of the committee to give us 2 weeks, sir.
Okay, 2 weeks. Take note of the date, and before you leave,
Yes, sir.
please, you need to take these issues very, very seriously. The Nigerian Customs Service is one of the most reliable life wires of the revenue generations of Nigeria. You said it yourself. Our distinguished colleagues here all said it. Government is a continuum. So we must face it the way it should be faced. 2 weeks from now will be
Issues 1 to 4.
issues 1 to 4. 2 weeks from now, 19th, Thursday. No, is that Tuesday? It will be Tuesday, the 19th of December, 2020. 19th of December? December, well, just 5, 6.
Giving us this audience in the absence of our Controller General, and for the guidance you've given unto us. We appreciate, we owe you in very high esteem, and we will not disappoint you. Thank you very much, sir.
He has to be here. Otherwise, we will not take you and we will resign our decision.
It's very, very important.